A young mother dies in childbirth. In a small English town, a parish doctor and a nurse were in attendance to a young woman who gave birth to a baby boy. The woman was weak and close to collapse. The little child lay on the mattress, gasping. His mother stretched out her hands, and the doctor handed the infant into her arms. She kissed the child's head, passed her hand over his face, and then, with a shiver, fell back dead. She was a good looking young woman, said the doctor. Where did she come from? She was brought here to this workhouse last night, replied the nurse. She was found lying in the street. She must have walked a long distance, for her shoes were worn and her feet bleeding. The doctor leaned over the dead body and raised the left hand. No wedding ring. She was probably not married, he said. The child was left to be cared for in the workhouse where he was born. After a few months, he was sent to another workhouse which looked after young and troublesome orphans. He was named Oliver Twist by Mr. Bumble, the parish official. Mrs. Mann, who was in charge of the workhouse, received money from the parish to feed and look after the children in her care. But she kept most of the money for herself, and the children were poorly fed. They were given a bath and enough food only when some parish official came to inspect the workhouse. Oliver Twist was always hungry, miserable, and unhappy. He was thin and underfed. One day, when Oliver was 9 years old, Mr. Bumble, the parish official, came to visit the workhouse. He was a fat, elderly gentleman, quick to get angry. Oliver is too old to stay here any longer, he told Mrs. Munn. It was time, felt Mr. Bumble, that Oliver learned to do some useful work. He took Oliver to the members of the parish committee. What is your name, boy? Asked one of the members. Oliver Twist, sir, stammered Oliver. He was shivering with fright and close to tears. You are an orphan, said another member. You have been brought up by the parish. I hope you pray for those who feed and look after you. Yes, sir, whispered Oliver. He did not know how to pray, for nobody had taught him. Well, said the gentleman, you have come here to be educated and taught a useful trade. You will begin tomorrow morning at 6. Oliver stayed now in a new workhouse where the other children were a little older than his former companions. He had his meal with the children of the workhouse. The food tasted terrible, and there was never enough. The soup that was served thrice a day was mostly water. Sometimes an onion was given, and on Sundays a small roll of bread. For 3 months, Oliver and his companions were systematically tortured with slow starvation. They were wild with hunger and half dead. One day, the boys decided that at supper that evening, one of them would ask for a second helping. They drew lots, and Oliver Twist was chosen to be the boy to ask. In the evening, the boys took their places. The master, in cook's uniform, was serving out supper. After the boys finished their portion, they nudged and winked at Oliver. Oliver took his empty bowl and walked up to the master. Please, sir, I want some more, he whispered. The master was stunned. He turned pale. What? He said faintly. Please, sir, repeated Oliver, I want some more. The master spluttered with anger. He screamed for Mr. Bumble. Mr. Bumble reported the matter to the board members of the parish committee. Oliver was put in a dark and solitary room. He was weeping and shivering uncontrollably. Next morning, the committee put up a notice outside the workhouse offering £5 to anyone who would take Oliver as an apprentice and teach him a trade.